Yeah, we're live now. I mean, oh no, are you? That's. I mean, that's the most on-brand thing you could be doing right now, I think. No, not Dakota. Damn it. Can I? What? Oh, that's fun. Well, okay. So the stream is up. Hopefully not 2 hours. I've got to get up. I have to get up early on Fridays, and it's like, I understand Thursday was out of your control. Thursdays are not great podcast nights for me. Well, if not just because the patrons did not get their deserved early release, but they'll deal with it. They'll be okay. They always are. Are you ready to start recording things? Okay, do I have the right? I don't. Oh no, I better not start coughing. I've had some kind of something or other up in my face recently. It's not good. It's not good. It is what it is. But I mean, I'm probably on the way out of it. It was the worst the other day. What up, that Matic in the house? Okay, I am. All right, I am recording in both of my places. Nope, I'm not. Not yet. Not yet. Okay, nope, delete that. Arm that to record. Okay, now I am recording in both of my places. And I don't think that I even, well, no, I do have to adjust my levels, but that's okay. All right, count it down. 3, 2, 1, go. Cool. Okay, so we living. Okay. I'm going to pop that young chat out. If I can remember how to do that. Pop out chat right there. I'm getting good at this. So what are you doing with that wood? It's a sword. Oh, is that a Game of Thrones thing? There's a sword. Yeah, there's a sword in that show. That's about all I know, but... Hi, Liam. I was going to say, at least there's some good that's coming out of that, because that's a nightmare. That is the pits. But, I mean, I don't know how to say this, but I'm just going to say it. Like, on some level, do you feel relieved because you were pretty worked up about it? It's like, oh no. Well, that sucks. Because I was going to say, like, in your situation, I would be honestly a little relieved. Maybe that I couldn't go to Celebration because it's like, but maybe that's just me, dude. I don't know. Clearly it is. Yeah. I mean, it really blows, but I guess I'll see if I can get my brother's GoPro. I'm sure I can. It's wild. He's married now. I have a sister-in-law. The wedding was not as bad as I thought it would be. I didn't think it'd be bad. You know, I'm just not a very formal person in any way, shape, or form. So getting dressed up like that is always kind of, I chafe against it. So, but it's done. My brother's married. Excuse me. His wife is cool. So that's okay. I'm not talking about anything super important. So I guess, but no, I'd like to get, I don't know what I want to record video wise at Celebration, but I feel like I'd like to have the GoPro Especially since I'm not flying, I can overpack to my heart's content. You know, what does what does bum me out is that I don't have a recorder of any kind now. Yeah. So you don't apologize. It's not even remotely your fault, but you not going has unfortunately bigger implications than just the sad fact that you're not going to Celebration with me. It's like there are like actual logistical implications of that. No, I'm not drinking a smoothie, Liam. I had a smoothie earlier. This is just pink lemonade. My smoothie this morning was dope. I went all out. I see what was in it. The normal, like, spinach, frozen fruit, banana, yogurt. I also put a kiwi in there. This one! However, I do feel the need to say that I find it difficult to just take a bite out of a kiwi. Like, that is a lot. However, I'm not going to peel a kiwi. I'll just cut it up. You know? Like, Liam, what's really weird? Like, the live stream or the kiwi skin? Because, like, I know... I don't know, man. I don't think it's that weird. Probably not. I mean, we're normally fondling pieces of wood in the after hours. They just have to make... I mean, they usually just make sound. And yeah, I wanted that... Oh, you can't hear Ash at all? That's weird. I can. Oh, wait. Hang on. This... Okay, no. You are good. I hear you. Something is wrong on my end, on the stream end. Let me fix that. Liam, I'm glad you said something right now. Okay, settings. I hope I don't have to take the stream down. That'd be so annoying if I had to take the stream down. No. Why is it not picking up any sound? That's weird. Properties. Default, no. Speakers. Yeah, try that. Okay, I think we should be good now. Yeah, I think we're okay. If we're not, somebody say something. Particularly you, Ash. You should probably say something so people know if we're good or not.
Hello?
Yeah, okay. That's probably better. Okay.
Let me just talk about this wonderful piece of pine I'm turning into a sword and painting, so there's no reason I should be using as nice of wood as I am.
So, like, I don't know. What is nice wood? I typically don't think of pine as a nice wood because they don't make guitars out of it.
Not from the hardware store.
Where'd you get
That's
it?
what... The lumberyard.
Where else are you gonna buy wood?
Yeah. I'm gonna put that down so I stop getting distracted. Yeah, lumberyard. That's where I get it. Stuff at the hardware store is generally like bowed and stuff, which didn't really matter for this, but I just had it lying around.
Well, so like,
one was the right size.
Hardware wood is. Do they sell it in large quantities? Like, how much wood can you get from the hardware store?
You can get like pre-cut sheets. If I need plywood for anything that's like not furniture, I'll buy it at the hardware store. But if I'm making furniture out of anything, I'm not buying it at the hardware store.
I guess the hardware store. I guess hardware stores don't really advertise. I don't know anything about Harbor Freight, but like most hardware stores, I guess, don't. Well, is Harbor Freight like a home improvement store, or is it like a chain hardware store? You know what I mean?
It's more of a home improvement thing. There's lots of tools there too, but we don't sell like wood. We don't sell materials of any kind. We have like glue and stuff, but not like, and none of it is name brands. It's all like Harbor Freight's brands.
Okay, well, so it's still it's a hardware store, not a home improvement place.
Yeah, but we've got like, it's like 50-50. And the majority of the people that come in for like home improvement stuff.
Well, excuse me. No, I'm saying you're not like a Lowe's, which sells everything. You sell more specialized tools.
No, not even that. I mean, it's kind of hard to describe. We sell like a lot of different. We sell like wheelchairs as well, and solar panels and stuff like that too, on top of like tools.
Okay.
So it's kind of a weird thing.
Okay.
It's not a Lowe's. It's like somewhere between a Lowe's and a Walmart.
Yeah, because I mean, I know that you guys like they sell like switches and like little electronic doodads because that's where I know guitarists get a bunch of stuff, at least online through Harbor Freight, like little knobby things.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got distracted by I don't know. It's like it still weirds me out. I guess the cars drive past my house.
I was like, are you distracted by K2 in the background?
No, I saw how long has K2 been there? I feel like I've seen K2 for the last few weeks, I think.
Yeah, he's been there a while. I'm putting lights in him. I'm drilling holes in his eyes. That sentence never sounds right. And I'm putting lights in him.
Okay.
I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
Okay.
I have the lights. I need to do that today.
See,
anyway,
you're so lucky. It's 6:15 where you are. You got the whole evening ahead of you, and I'm like,
yeah, I'm gonna make a sword.
And I'm like, well, okay, I gotta get off the podcast, edit the podcast, and then go to bed because I don't know. I just hate going to bed. Like it's like the shower. Once I'm in bed, there's nowhere else I would rather be. However, stopping what I'm doing to go to bed is the pits. And I would like not wish it on my worst enemy because I've got too much other stuff to do, man. I've got too much other stuff to do.
I wish I could sleep. That'd be really nice. I'm kidding. I'm not, but it'd be really great if I could sleep.
I mean, I
like a normal human.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't slept. I wake up like every 2 hours now.
I was talking about this with my doctor the other day because he was like, "How long have you had problems with sleeping?" And I was like, "I can't remember," and that answers your question probably. I think I was 11, or 10 or 11 years old when I had like a good night's sleep. Last time I had a good night's sleep.
Well, I don't like even. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. It's like I wake up at least once like every night. And I don't usually struggle to get back to sleep, but it's like I'm still waking up, you know? It's like I'm still not getting like restful sleep. And I'll wake up in the morning just like wishing I was dead. Although this morning, oddly enough, like my toothpaste woke me up. When I brushed my teeth, I was just like, "Oh, I don't know what happened," but it was kind of wild. It was a good experience. A surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. Basically, is what it comes down to. I don't know. Why does it feel? I'm saying this now, so I don't have to say it on the show. Why does it feel like forever since we've recorded an episode?
I don't know. We recorded last week.
It was because we recorded last Tuesday. It's been over a week since we recorded.
That's a good point.
I think that's what it is. Why. Oh, our buddy over at Roku Depot gave us an okay rating because Alexandra's audio was not great. And again, I don't know if you listened to the episode. It is always something with her audio. If it's not the shirt, I didn't hear one shirt noise the whole time. However, there was a weird clicking noise throughout the entire thing that I had to go through and silence. And I love Alexandra, but bless her heart, she has got to get that shit figured out. I wish I could like go to DC and be like, "Look, we're going to fix this. We're going to do this right now. We're going to make
I'm like 5 seconds away from shipping her a blue snowball.
Yeah, like, I should send her the blue snowball that you gave me.
You should.
Because that would solve every problem. I might do that. Because there's literally, like, no reason not to. I mean, if she's just like, it's like paying it forward. It was charity to me anyway. It would be wrong to like sell it or something. Not that I even considered doing that, but like, and really, it saves us from getting docked on some mediocre podcast review site. You know, and that's what it really comes down to. I think. I finally muted him from the Skyhoppers account though.
Good.
So hopefully we can be done playing that little game. I don't know if you noticed, I also muted Ryan Bullock. Is that what the guy's name is? Who every week would tag us in like his slew of Star Wars Follow Friday things?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a while ago. I just got
I
sick.
don't have anything against the guy. It's just
Oh, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I just hate when people do that in general. Like, I hate Follow Fridays. I hate all that. I hate getting, like, lumped in with 50 other people because I get all their goddamn notifications.
Yeah,
It's
learning how to mute notifications for a conversation was, like, the best thing that ever happened to me, I think.
Yeah.
You're lucky you have a guitar within reach. I don't. Although, since you brought up the topic, Liam, Star Wars Follow Friday isn't really like, it's just it's weird actually. Before I get into my little guitar related or music related anecdote, the Star Wars podcasting community is full of absolutely great people by and large, and I have nothing against any of these people personally. I definitely talked about this maybe on last After Hours, maybe even just our episode last week. I mentioned the Star Wars podcast, like, I feel like most of the Skyhoppers podcast's Twitter followers are other podcasts that followed us expecting us to follow them back.
Yeah.
And we didn't. And it's like, yeah, they bolster our follower count, but they're not interacting with us. You know, it's
they're not friends of ours either in the community either.
Yep, they're just randos. So it's like the people who interact with our tweets are like, you guys. And, you know, a handful of other people. Dave Gomez. I wish Dave Gomez would just give us $1 a month. I don't want to ask Dave to, but I want Dave in our Patreon Discord. You know, that's what I want. But, anyway. And everyone, it all feels very fake. There's this whole thing on Star Wars Podcast Twitter, the podcast account specifically, that are just like, yeah, we all follow each other, and we're all part of this kind of informal network almost, but nobody ever talks about anybody else's shows unless they're actually, like, friends with them, and those kind of friendships can definitely pop up, and we've made friends with other shows before, and other, you know, people on other shows, but it's like, it's not natural. We have no reason to go out of our way to listen to, I don't know, it's like, I'm sure you guys listening to podcasts know, it's like there's a limit. You have a limited amount of time with which to listen to podcasts in a given week, and it's like, I can't add 15 other Star Wars podcasts that, for the most part, are all going to talk about the same thing. And obviously there are ones that are different. This is a very general statement, but, and I'm not trying to say our podcast particularly stands out from the crowd. The fact that we have the following we do is something I'm incredibly thankful for every day. But it's just a weird, very performative community that I've noticed. And it's like, there's not a lot of substance to it. So yeah, we have 600 followers, but like, if we have 600 followers, we should be getting more than 15 people voting in our polls. You know, like, and people who actually pay attention to us, even with just that, I feel like, I don't know, like Alexandra, it always talks about how she will just vote in any Twitter poll. If she sees a poll, even if she does not have a stake or an opinion one way or the other, she will vote. And it's just like, why aren't more people doing, I know other people are like that. Why don't more people do that for us?
I don't know.
And it's not something that bugs me until I think about it. It's just like, what is this whole thing?
I agree with you. It's like the Follow Friday thing, like when it comes from like a genuine place, when you just like batch tag people, like,
oh yeah. And of course, if any of you were to say, hey, follow this podcast, we would be eternally grateful.
Absolutely.
You're excluded because you kind of like, not only do you interact with us, like, you know, outside of the Discord, but it's like, you give us money, right? If you hear this, you give us money. So you care about us on some level, or at least you care about the content we produce. And, I don't know. It's just whenever Ryan Bullock, literally this dude tweets 6 or 7 tweets full that are just #FF a bunch of Star Wars podcasts and Twitter people, and it's just their handles. It's like, follow these awesome Star Wars podcasts, and it's like, that's all he says, and then he just a slew. And
I don't know. Twitter's weird, and the more I think about it, the less I want anything to do with it in that kind of a sense. It's like, it's fun, to tweet stuff and talk to your friends about whatever. But like lately, it's just been like, I will tweet the most innocuous shit in the world, and it gets people like, I am sick of dudes asking me to elaborate what I mean on something. That's really what it is, because that's happened recently where I'll be like, I really like Jaime and Brienne on Game of Thrones, and someone will be like, elaborate on that. I'm like, no! That's
Why?
the thought. That's the tweet. Move on, dude. God.
Well, yeah, Liam, yeah, it
What
seems
was-
like you listen to a lot of stuff, so we're gonna call you an outlier. Here, you're like Spider's Jorg. My favorite dead Tumblr joke. Yeah, I feel like we talk about Twitter a lot, but it's, I don't know. Someday I'm
just really right now not in the mood to talk about Twitter with anybody, because it's exhausting, and I just don't have the energy for it these days.
God. Yeah.
Sorry, I pulled up the stream and then you were talking at the same time, so I got confused.
My issue, and again, if you can hear this, you are excluded. This does not include you, what I'm about to say. Twitter, for me, in a lot of ways, was kind of like an informal, in a lot of ways, like an informal diary before I started the podcast. And I'm not trying to say I have, like, a huge following and we can't tweet without being interacted with. It's like, interaction is good. Liam, no. Don't leave. Don't leave.
No, Liam, don't leave.
That's not the solution. But
we love you, Liam. You're excluded from our bitching, okay?
Well, I'm bummed because for some reason thought Liam was going to Celebration. And now I'm finding out he's not. But anyway.
Liam, we can have we're not going to be at Celebration party.
But yeah, it's like, it's weird because I feel like I kind of have to think about what I put on Twitter now, and I can't just be like, oh, hi, Wedge.
Buddy, what? Buddy! You gonna behave?
No.
No.
The answer is no.
You can stay if you'll behave. Or go. Fine, Wedge. I didn't want you anyway. Let me shut the door.
Okay. Going to darn Israel instead. I'm so angry and sorry. Wedge! What are you doing?
No! Wedge, get out!
Dang. You slamming the door, like, shook the...
Did it?
Yeah, but I guess because you've got a laptop, so it was like... But I don't remember what I was saying. Oh, just having to think about what you put on Twitter. Because... Yeah. Now, obviously, sometimes I tweet things that are, like, purposely, air quotes, inflammatory. Like, kiwi skin? On, off. You know what I mean? It's like... I know what I'm getting into there. But... I don't know. Anyway, unless you have anything else you want to say about that.
No.
Let me jump into my musical anecdote for the week, because it's not Skyhoppers After Hours. Or maybe I should call it something else at this point, because apparently we seem to have an issue with the name After Hours.
I'm fine with After Hours. I just was kind of confused by it at first, and I didn't want to say anything.
Because it's the name. I explained myself. I'm not going to explain myself to any of you ever again. But it is not that. It is not this segment of the show unless we talk about music. There's a guy in Seymour, Indiana, which is an hour and 11 minutes away at my last check. Off Interstate 65. And he is selling a Squier Deluxe Jazz Bass 5 for $150. I cannot find these things on Reverb or eBay or anywhere for less than like $300. The cheapest one I found is on Reverb for like $280, and it's kind of dinged up. My issue. I've got a couple issues. One, this is $150 right before celebration. Not ideal, especially because my landlord did I talk about this? Lost our rent check last month? No, because that was at the wedding. I found out this weekend. He lost our rent check, so he did not cash the rent check I sent him, meaning that I did not pay him for March, meaning I owe him $900. However, rent is due the 1st of April, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to send him 2 checks, so I'm just going to send him an $1,800 check, and he's going to cash that all at once. And then I found out today that my freaking brother is just like, I'm not going to be able to pay. I'm like, hey, bud, it's like $984 with rent, utilities, and all this nasty, this double rent business. And he's just like, I'm not going to be able to pay you until I get paid again. And that's like the 4th. And I'm like, dude, if you cannot, I was pissed. I was pissed. Because I'm like, dude, if you cannot afford this, you need to manage your money better. Because basically, he's not being responsible at all. He's relying on my parents to bail him out of any kind of emergency he might find himself in. Which is like, if you're working full-time, I don't feel like is what you should be doing. And granted, maybe that's just me being judgmental. I don't know. But it pisses me off because it's $2,000 out of my bank account. And he gets to sit with his bank account exactly as it was. So I've got half a mind to tell him, like, pay me what you can pay me, and pay me the rest when you get paid again. Because I can't.
Yeah.
And see, I have the money.
You're much nicer than I would be.
I have the money to cover it, but that's not the point. That's not the point. Anyway, $150 right before celebration, not ideal. However, if I can flip this thing, that's $300. That's an extra $150. I've doubled up on my investment, which is super sick. Greg is here. But hi, Greg. Also,
hi, Greg.
Unfortunately, how much experience do you have with active electronics inside of instruments?
I have an active bass, and I've pretty much only played. This is the jazz is my first passive.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you feel about it? How do you feel about active electronics? For those who don't know,
that's a tricky question.
Yeah, before you answer, let me explain real quick. Active electronics are basically like, Ash, show them the pickup. Show them what a pickup is. A pickup on an electric instrument is what picks up the vibration of the strings, the black bar there. It's like they're
basically a magnet.
They're like electromagnets, and they transfer the vibrations to the signal that goes to the amp. And on most instruments, or most like guitars, they are passive, meaning they just work if the guitar is plugged in. Whereas active electronics need to be powered, like with a 9-volt battery, which is to me kind of annoying. Ash, where do you stand?
It's never been a problem.
Really?
The difference in sound, why I'm talking about this, the hard of hearing person, not that noticeable, at least to me. It is nice. I have been playing this one at church because I don't have to worry about it. Also, I like the sound.
Pickups do listen.
Pickups do listen.
And yes, Jess, of course we're talking about guitar. That's just what we do. I'm sorry. We can't change it. But anyway.
While I'm practicing my major scales, it doesn't make that much of a difference, to be honest, as long as you keep a 9-volt in your guitar case.
Yeah, I guess.
If you're going around playing gigs with it, I just always make sure I have batteries.
I hear that go ahead.
I was gonna say, my Stingray is active, and it's fine.
I hear
it doesn't suck the power that much anyway.
Yeah, I hear that on bass, people like them. People like them because they put out, the active pickups put out a very clean, unmodified tone, which lets you shape it a little bit more with your own. It's like they're not colored. The sound's not colored in any way. That's what I've read anyway.
Yeah, honestly, I think that's much BS. But the clarity of the tone or whatever, because a P bass is the most popular bass in the world. That's not an active instrument. people love the sound of a P bass more than anything else. If you gig with anything other than a P bass, people will comment on it inevitably. They'll be like, "Oh wow," or they'll say, "Man, if you had a Fender, it would sound like this." That's happened to me a couple of times when I've played gigs, or when I've like subbed for somebody.
Music Man's basically a Fender anyway. We all know it.
No, it's not. It's one humbucker.
No, I'm saying that Leo Fender started Music Man.
Oh yeah, okay, that's true. I thought you were saying a Stingray is basically a P bass.
No.
Boy, let
No, Leo Fender. I mean, a G&L is a Fender is a Music Man. They're all the same. They're not.
No, they're not. But for those curious, this is not a Fender. It's a Squier, which is basically it's a Fender jazz bass, and there's also a Fender P bass, and all sorts of basses. Do you have a Fender P bass? Or is this visual aids on After Hours?
This is a precision bass, which is the P bass. So we're like the bass podcast now. We don't even play guitar anymore. We're just the. I'm not a very good bassist, and I'm over here like wanting to buy a bass and potentially even I'm talking to some people on Reddit from the Bloomington subreddit about getting together and playing some stuff. They're full up on guitarists, so they're like, "Hey, you said you could play bass though, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I could."
Any guitarist can play bass. That's the secret. Can any guitarist play bass well? No.
No, absolutely not. No, we're not going to play bass together. I feel like it'd be hard because there's inevitably some kind of delay. We did end up out of sync. But Greg, honestly, you're fairly new. How long's Greg been in the Discord? How long's Greg been a patron? A while, a couple months at least, right?
I don't know.
So you probably have heard quite a bit about guitars at this point, because that's kind of the running joke, is that this is just our music podcast.
Oh, did I show you this though? While we're talking about instruments, hold up.
Probably not. No, what is that?
It's an Epiphone Hummingbird.
Sweet. That's actually like a guitar. That's an acoustic guitar that I've actually heard of. I know so little about acoustic guitars.
I didn't buy 2 new guitars. Curious. My sister gave this to me because there was a time once upon a dream where she was going to play, but then got mad at me because I didn't teach her well enough. Because I'm
right. Oh, right. Greg didn't have the Patreon link, did he? So Greg has never listened to the After Hours. Okay, Greg. So yeah, we've got like.
Welcome to the Skyhoppers Guitar Hour.
Yeah, we literally have like 20 of them now, I think, or something. We've got a lot of After Hours at this point. But yeah. So anyway, I think I'm gonna go get that. I'm gonna go get that bass though. I am gonna go get that bass.
If you're gonna get it and flip it, then I see no problem.
Well, and like realistically, even if she's not listening. Realistically, even if I don't flip it, I am gonna list it. But the one thing that concerns me is there are not that many on Reverb, and I don't know if that means that can mean like one of two things: people who have them love them but don't want to sell them, which is, I mean, kind of unlikely just because it's like people love Strats, but there's no shortage of Strats to buy, or they're just not that popular. There just aren't that many of them out there, and people don't want them, which is a concern because if I get it and then try to flip it, and it can't.
Maybe your podcast co-host who's looking for a 5-string might buy it from you. Who knows?
Well, that's okay. That's something to consider.
Somewhere down the line, we'll see. No, I'm kidding.
It's just a long-term investment.
I don't know if I could actually use a 5-string, to be honest with you.
The string is lower, right? The 5th string?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To B. Low B.
Right, low B. Yeah, it's like, what am I even going to do with that? I mean, like, I want it because it's a jazz bass, which I think objectively are the cooler basses. And
I was an avid P bass person for years. You know this. I've talked to you about this. And now that I have a jazz, I'm just like, I might be converted.
Well, it's not like there's anything wrong with this. Like, this is
No.
a good classic shape. But the jazz bass is offset. So, of course, I'm going to eat that shit up.
It's closer to a Jaguar than a P bass.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, this one needs to be set. I don't know if you could see it. The neck on this one is bowed super bad. You probably can't.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, that's how bad it is. You can see it. This guitar needs to be set up. It's possible the neck is just completely fucked. I don't know.
Is it like an Affinity?
Yeah.
Squire Affinity?
Yeah, it's an old Affinity too. So, I mean, my grandma bought it for my brother in probably like 2007. I've had it for a really long time.
My Strat's an 06. I guess that just shows if you take care of your instruments. That's the thing. This thing I didn't realize about instrument maintenance until like it punched me in the face. You have to like every year take care of them, otherwise in 5 years you'll be totally screwed. Like it, yeah. That Ibanez, Ibanez, and I got rid of the Ibanez. I gave it to a student, which is partially why I got the jazz bass. That Ibanez was so fucked, and it took me like 15 minutes of fiddling to get it to even somewhat playable, because the strings were like a solid, like three-quarters of an inch off the fretboard. It was not good.
This is probably looks like about a ½ inch at worst.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. Yeah, this instrument's been neglected, but this is actually, I think, going to be my first refinishing project. Is this bass? Because it's like, it's an Affinity. It's like I could try to sell it, but it's like it's an Affinity P bass. It's not gonna sell for more than. I'd be lucky to get $100 out of it with the shape the neck is in.
Yeah.
Also, pretty significant. You probably can't. It probably won't show up on stream because the stream's not super high quality, but like pretty significant dings and just shit all around it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what color I want to paint it yet, but I'd also want to get like a new neck with like a maple fretboard because maple fretboards are just better.
At that point, like, why would you do that much work for an Affinity P bass? That's my question.
Because, I mean, well, yeah, I end up with just like the body, right? But because I'd switch the pickups back too. But for me, it's not about the. It's not even as much about the end result as much as it is the process and learning how to do stuff.
I guess that makes sense.
Because, I mean, that's like, yeah, I literally like my first guitar, when I replaced that pick guard, it was like, or those pickups, it wasn't about like, oh, these are going to be great. It's like, I want this to have single coils. They're not Seymour Duncans. They're literally like brandless pickups, But I learned how to do it.
I guess it makes sense.
And it sounds, it's a reasonable approximation of what I want it to sound like. So, I don't know.
I think I'm gonna switch out the pickup on my Stingray. It's giving me problems.
Bass pickups I find are not hard to find, but like I was thinking about switching out I was like, okay, if I get this bass and I don't like the active pickups, how hard is it to put passive ones in? Well, passive
hard.
Well, yeah, you gotta like completely redo the wiring, remove the whole preamp thing, or at least take it out of the circuit, I guess.
You can run it passive though on those you can turn it off. Did you know that?
No, I don't
there's
get
a button. There's a switch on them. You just hit the switch and it's passive.
Oh, that's cool. I guess that makes sense. But what was I saying? Oh, but 5-string jazz bass pickups. You don't have any like low end manufacturers making 5-string jazz bass pickups. You like cannot find a set for less than $150. So,
yep.
What is Theseus? I'm not familiar enough with Theseus to know what that means. I'm gonna look him up though. And then we're gonna get started.
I will say though, I want to change out the pickups on my Stingray,
Mm-hmm.
but also like my Stingray was $1,100, and there's a part of me that's like, why? I've had it for less than a year. Why am I thinking about changing out the pickups?
People do that. I don't know.
To like $300 because I'd get like brand Ernie Ball ones.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I didn't know Ernie Ball made pickups. That makes sense, but
yeah.
Oh yeah. It's weird. Um, Greg, it is weird because you totally can end up doing something like that. And in fact, my first guitar has kind of turned into that, where the only thing, not the only thing, but for the most part, I think, in fact, I do think the only things that are original on that guitar still are the bridge, where the strings sit, that it's not the tuners, and the body. I guess, because, and I guess the input jack is the same, okay, but it's like, everything else is different. It's all aftermarket, new neck, new tuners, new pickups, new pick guard. So yeah, it's entirely possible. But to me, Ash might disagree. The body is the most important part of the guitar. Body and neck together, as long as you're not replacing, even with the neck. I don't know. How do you feel about that? At what point do you not have the same guitar?
Placing the neck.
Replacing the neck gives you a different guitar, you think?
I've had a P-bass body for a year and a half.
Right, and you can't
that I
find a
will
neck.
not put another neck on because I can't find the right one. It's not the same guitar anymore. To be fair, it's a Mexican P-bass that my dad had for 20 years, so it's not like I'm missing out on anything. But that was my main guitar for like 6 years.
I used to think that the Mexican Fenders were like closer to Squier than they were to American Fenders, and then I realized how many guitars Fender makes in Mexico. It's like most of them. The American ones are the exception, not the rule.
Yeah, and honestly, the American ones, I can't really tell the difference. I've played a Mexican Strat, and I played a Mexican P-bass for years and years and years, and can't.
Well, see, that's what I mean. It's like they're perfectly giggable instruments. I mean, even Squiers, vintage modifieds, classic vibes, those are giggable instruments. It's all as long as you're not like the $200 to $300 guitars. I feel like even just since I've been playing, have gotten so much better than they used to be.
Yeah, also, it's all about the setup. If you know how to set it up correctly, like I had to do some work on the jazz bass. I filed the frets and recrowned a couple of them because they were buzzing in weird spots. Other than that, it's totally fine. And I might swap out the pickups one day or do something like that to it, but it's like,
it's not
right
like the
now
pickups
it's
are bad, yeah.
No, they're fine. Squier makes perfectly decent instruments now. Also, you can get a used Mexican Fender for like $3. I bought my Strat, my baby. This one. My precious little baby boy. For actually its name is Mary, so precious little baby girl. For $350.
And that, I don't want to say that's overpaying because that's within the price range, but you can find them cheaper. Like,
you can.
Yeah, depending on when they were made too, because there are years that people like and there are years that people don't, like anything else. But
this one also had Seymour Duncan pickups in it, so it had aftermarket pickups in it.
That's different.
So I got a very good deal on it.
I would say so. I don't know. I just like to mess around with stuff. I'm down with like buying cheap pickups even and throwing them in something just to be like, these are different. What's different about these? You know
what's funny though? I used to be very much a Gibson person. Gibson's another guitar brand for those of you guys who don't know. And I was all about Les Pauls. And I was like, when I can't afford to buy a very, very nice guitar, I'm going to buy a Gibson Les Paul, and it's going to be blue, and it's going to be pretty, and it's going to be awesome. Now I have a PRS and a Strat, and a jazz bass and a Stingray. Like,
PRS, we got to get started. PRSs are kind of like the best. I mean, it's like a mix, right? You've got like the Strat style body shape with like the humbucker layout of like a Les Paul, and then
also mine's got a coil split in it too, which is nice. So,
I don't know though. I've talked about how I can never really get into them, I think, but yeah. I mean, I was the same way. SGs all the way. The pointy Angus Young guitars. That's
I had one of those.
To play. I did too, and I sold it.
I think I told you about I had a Gibson SG for like 5 seconds in high school, and I hated it because the neck dive was so bad. I couldn't deal.
To me,
and I was like, can't do it.
To me, that's
also I hated how it sounded.
Why? I love them. They're spanky. I like them.
At that particular point in my life, I really hated how it sounded, but I also had a shitty amp, so that might have been part of the problem.
Well, I'd say 75% of your tone's in your amp. So, if not a little more. That's something that a lot of people tend to forget about, which is why I don't think I'll ever see myself spending $300 on a set of pickups, because it's just like I could just get a better amp. That'll probably do a lot more for my sound than the pickups will. But pickups are fun to mess with, so it's like guitarfetish.com, GFS pickups, they've got a bunch of different stuff that I would just love to try. Pickups are like $35 a piece. Like,
I've been thinking about putting hot rails in my Strat.
see, I don't know about that, because that's just, I mean, if you want to, that's fine.
What I might do is I've got a Squire Strat also. I might just put them in those and see how I like them, and then
you can move them over if you want, yeah.
Mix it up
Spanky,
for
Liam, is hard to explain. Guitarists use a lot of words. Yeah, Greg, same. Guitarists
like you
use
want a fat, like bassists want a nice fat tone.
yeah,
It
or
makes
like a gritty tone, a warm tone. Things
Warm
that,
tone,
if-
bright.
bright, warm, and bright.
There are things that don't make sense unless you play guitar, and it kind of like weirdly comes along when you start playing guitar, and then one day it kind of makes sense what they mean when it's like, oh,
Yeah.
can you make your sound a little warmer, brighter, or
But
whatever.
Spanky is like a really bright, almost like tinny sound. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
words are not good for sounds at all. It's not tinny in a bad way, but really a really bright sound and kind of thin. Whereas like a humbucking pickup, a humbucker is gonna have like a warmer, thicker sound. Which is funny because that's what SGs have, but they just aren't as resonant, I guess, as Les Pauls. So they,
You know, Gibson's making an SG with P90s in it.
yeah, they have forever, and I've wanted one. Ever since I saw Pete Townsend play one, I think at the Isle of Wight festival or videos. Of course, I wasn't there, but I've wanted that. I've wanted that guitar. I mean, Liam, it counts for something. I don't know if you have tone words for piano though, because I almost said something about pianos that was gonna make me sound very ignorant of pianos, which I am, but I don't want people to know. Anyway,
Be nice. There's a keyboard player here and a piano player in your chat, so.
I know. I mean, it wasn't gonna be mean. It was just
I'm
gonna
kidding, I'm
be
kidding.
me not knowing anything about them. Let's start recording this episode.
Okay.
Because this is another one of those after hours that kind of just guitars. That's all we talked about.
I brought it up. I grabbed the guitar.
Yeah, it was
it's
you.
my fault.
1 second.
Oh, he left. Oh no. Now I have to entertain all of you by myself.
What the fuck?
Da 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 da.
Hell yeah.
Can always just do this.
Hang on, let me show you the chat.
See how long it takes me.
I've had Cammy on stream before, right? Oh, she's not happy. She's not happy. Okay, relax. Calm yourself. Well,
We've had 2 interrupting pets this week.
well, I brought mine. So, no, Greg, you sit here and you listen to the episode if you want. If you don't want to, we're not gonna make you stay. But if you would rather listen to the episode in your normal context, if you leave right now, that's cool. We're not gonna be offended.
Oh, are you asking how we interact with the chat? Yeah,
Oh.
we interact with the chat in live episodes. I think
That's a better way of, yeah. And it's we try not to let it affect the actual episode, the regular episode too much, but it's we're definitely not just ignoring you guys, because that's part of the idea. Okay.
Yeah.
This is 140, right?
Hey,
Shit, dude.
blaze it or whatever. I don't know. I'm happy that's not on the actual episode.
Yeah. No, it was 120 Blaze It. We already did that one.
Yeah.
Dude. Why are
You're ready to get...
why are our freaking character episodes always the they're always the live streams? I don't know how that happens. It's character episode, live stream,
Well,
last episode of the
Liam,
month, always.
Liam, I need you to know that I know it's 420. I was making a terrible joke. But I do know it's I'm not that sheltered Christian enough that I'm 440 blaze it.
440 Blaze It.
Oh gosh. Let's just start the episode.
Let's
oh my God.
just start the episode. All right, here we go. Let's get blazing. Now we gotta wait a little longer to Get that silence. Thanks, Ash. Here we go. Welcome, listeners, to episode 140 of the Skyhoppers podcast. I am one of your hosts, Ben, and I am joined by my lovely co-host, Ash.
And I'm the other, servant of the dark side on this podcast, Ash.
That's a good
like
one.
servant of the dark
Like
side.
servant
I am
of
the
the
other.
dark-
I am the other servant of the dark side on this podcast.
We are also joined this week by a few of our patrons, as this is our monthly Patreon live stream episode. If you went in on that, you know where to go. Patreon.com/the Skyhoppers podcast. All you gotta
Give
do,
us $1 a month.
That's
hey,
it. It's just $1. That's it. And you get to hang out. Like, we talked about guitars in the after hours for 25 minutes, as we are wont to do. So
also, there was a cat. The more interesting thing is that there was a cat for a few seconds.
Before she got mad and decided she did not want to be on camera anymore. Or rather, be in my arms, I think, was the bigger thing. She just does not like being held. But it's funny. I got super excited because I was reading Women of the Galaxy the other day. And I got to Cammy. So Cammy was laying on the bed next to me. I was like, oh, it's you! And she was just not enthused at all. And I'm like, you don't understand. This is your namesake. This is why you are who you are. And she just didn't get it.
True story, I was reading Wraith Squadron the other day, because I love Wraith Squadron. And Wedge, I'm sitting in a chair, and Wedge goes up and puts his head in the book. And I was like, do you know that this is you?
He has to.
Oh.
Man, we're reading Heir to the Empire right now for Bro Skywalkers. And if you've never read Heir to the Empire, which I'm sure some of you haven't, because a lot of people who are more, canon fans than Legends fans, I guess, that listen to us, the best way, I think, to read Heir to the Empire is by reading it by chapter chunk by chapter chunk, reading along with my book club podcast, So Bro Skywalkers. Man, getting a lot of pitches in the first 2 minutes of this
At
episode,
least we're getting them out of the way early.
True. But now's a good time to read Heir to the Empire. And, I mean, it's always a good time. But, man, that book is good. I talked about this a little bit on Bro Skywalkers, and I probably talked about it on our Rogue Squadron book club episode from God knows when that was. That was, within the last year? Maybe? Year and a half?
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. Anyway, at one point, we did Skyhoppers book clubs, and we read Rogue Squadron 1 month. And I was really concerned about, rereading these books. I'm not, without, not wanting them to, lose anything. Lose any, magic or, speciality. Because I've read them too many times. And Heir to the Empire especially, because that was the book that got me thrown back into Legends after having not read for a while. So Bro Skywalker's listeners will know that I was very cagey about reading Heir to the Empire. Cole would bring it up every once in a while, maybe we could do that next. And I'm like, I don't know if it's time yet. And I'm just putting it off for no reason. But then as soon as we started, as soon as I got through that first page, I'm just like, why did I ever wait so long to reread this book? Not to mention the fact that Cole has read it. I think he said 5 or 6 times, not counting the time that we're reading it right now. So it's just it's probably gonna be fine. I don't think I need to worry about it.
It's good, man. You'll be fine.
I know. Well, I know it's good. I want it to always be good is the thing, but it will be.
Yeah, it will be. You'll be fine.
Anyway.
It'll be good.
Heir to the Empire.
Everything's all right here. Situation normal. How are you?
Oh,
man.
Heir to the Empire. Good Star Wars book. I don't know if we're going to read the whole Thrawn trilogy at once, but we have a tendency to say, oh, we're loose, we're free, we kind of read whatever we want in Legends. We just kind of jump around, and then it's the second we start reading, a book in a series, we're, locked into reading that whole series all at once, and it's just, it's very bad for our brand.
Well, at least you won't be like me, who skipped the second book entirely.
I talked about that
because her library didn't have it.
Or I talked about it with Cole. I don't know if we talked about it on the show, but that's wild.
Yeah.
You kind of missed something there. A little bit is missed when you don't read Dark Force Rising. Man, I just want to talk about Legends. Man.
We could do that today. I mean, nothing's set in stone. We haven't actually said.
We have not
what
announced
the
what we're
episode
talking about
is.
yet, though. Like, well, I've got an idea for a Legends episode in a few weeks, or like in the near future that I would like that I think we could touch on. So I think we'll go ahead and go with our well, it's actually kind of a topical topic as of yesterday. Is that when that news was announced?
Yeah.
Today we are talking about maybe the most anemic Sith Lord in existence. I don't want to be too hard on him, but like he doesn't.
Darth Tyrannus.
Yeah, we're talking
right?
about Count Dooku this week. This
Or
is
Darth
our.
Tyrannus.
Yeah,
Who I, for the longest time, did not realize that Darth Tyrannus and Count Dooku were the same person.
I think that's entirely fair because. Okay, I'll put this out, I guess, to the chat, because so that we get some amount of live feedback. Were you, being you, Ash, you the listeners, if you want to tweet at us, at SW Skyhoppers, or you in the chat, Master Saifa Diaz, that whole thing probably confused us all, right?
I still don't know what's going on.
Did anybody else ever have the thought that it was Qui-Gon?
No.
I thought it was Qui-Gon
like
at
that.
one point. I thought it was Qui-Gon. Greg says he has never heard Count Dooku's Darth Tyrannus name before. I think that's crazy. But at the same time, I don't think of him as Darth Tyrannus. I think of him as Count Dooku.
I was just saying Darth Tyrannus to be a meme, but like it. No, I mean, he's only ever been Dooku in my eyes, which is weird because every other Sith gets Darth. He's not Darth Dooku.
Yeah, it's almost,
and what makes him a count exactly? I don't know.
I almost feel like. Yeah, I almost feel like it's Count Dooku feels like his Darth name because it's like it's already kind of a dark name on its own. Count Dooku feels like a very dark name, and it's weird to me that they thought he was not evil with a name like Count Dooku. You know, that's kind of the vibe I get from it. But and yeah, I don't know. Going back to the whole Saifa Diaz thing, we've got plenty of time to talk about Dooku. I never was like, oh, I think it's it's Qui-Gon. It was just like like most people, I always thought it was very strange that there was this character, this Jedi Master, who was never referenced anywhere else but in these like fistful of scenes in Attack of the Clones. You know, he's never elaborated on in the movies. I just thought it was super weird that it was a character we didn't know. So as a 9-year-old watching Attack of the Clones, I was just like, well, it has to be a character we know then. So it's probably Qui-Gon. That's the only person I could think of it being. And if Anakin's like 19, that was like 10 years ago. There's just a lot of circumstantial evidence that led to Saifa Diaz being Qui-Gon in my head. And it's something that I know who Saifa Diaz is now. Like we've clarified that multiple times. But
do we know who Saifa Diaz is? I still have no. I'm gonna be real with you. I still have no idea what the heck they're trying to do with that storyline.
Is he in the Clone Wars, or is he just mentioned?
No, he's mentioned in the Clone Wars.
Well, yeah, because he never does. I guess he never does show up. They find his bones or something, don't they? Oh, they do. Plo Koon finds his bones somewhere.
Yeah.
And like, I think that's a Lost Missions episode.
No, I don't think it is.
It has to be season 5. It's like super late one way or the other.
Liam says they found his body and Yoda had a force vision of him.
Yeah, but it's like, even then, he never is. Yeah, and
they make a point of him being the one that started the clone army, but they never explain, right? They never really explain. This should be a Saifa Diaz episode. They never really explain. It's just 5 hours of me looking like Charlie Day, and it's always word behind me like
Pepe Silva. Is that the dude's name? Yeah, just like it's weird. Yeah, see, I knew it was Lost Missions. It had to be. But yeah, it's all very strange. The fact that he's just, and I can't even remember. Do they explain why it's him that does it? Because, or like,
no!
Is Dooku impersonating Saifa Diaz? Does that happen? That sounds familiar. I feel like that's a thing that happened.
That would make a heck of a lot more sense.
I think it does. I think he does do that. Somebody confirm. I'm going to Wikipedia.
Because it would make a whole lot more sense that Dooku would kill Sifo-Dyas and then pretend to be Sifo-Dyas and commission the clone army.
I think that's what happened. No, oh my god. I searched the Grand Army of the Republic. Apparently that's a real thing. Ugh. Come on. What the heck? I hate that. Okay. I'm sorry if anyone is a member of that order and I've offended them. Grand Army of the Republic. StarWars.fandom.com, because I guess that's what we're doing now. Okay. Somebody say something so I'm not just reading.
I don't know. We're talking about Sifo-Dyas. This might be the thing I'm least qualified to talk about in Star Wars.
Well,
this thing I know probably the least amount about.
The funny thing is, I don't think anybody is really capable of discussing Sifo-Dyas with any level of... I don't know, though. He might have
Dooku killed it. Liam says Dooku killed him and used it as his identity. That makes sense.
Okay.
So let's tie it all back to Dooku, I guess.
Well, see, here, though... Okay, no. I'm not going to try to dig any deeper into this Wikipedia page. I'm going to go... Liam has backed up my...
The Pikes killed him? I really need to watch that episode of Clone Wars again.
No, yeah, he's like... I don't remember why... I think it's Obi-Wan and Anakin who are investigating, following that lead, because they find Sifo-Dyas' lightsaber. And as far as they know, I think, as far as the Jedi Order knows, he just kind of disappeared and is presumed dead. Man, this is embarrassing. I've watched Clone Wars like 3 times through now, and I can't even... Anyway. Yeah. Going back to Dooku, that all makes sense. I'm glad Clone Wars gave us that. Gave us something to chew on there in regards to Sifo-Dyas, because... Silman, yes, Valorum's aide. That's who the crazy dude is, who's eating the bugs and the prison cell.
Liam, you're not lame. He just said sorry for being lame. You're not lame. You're helping us out of this situation,
yeah, I was
dude.
say, you are basically doing the podcast for us.
Yes.
But...
You're the unofficial co-host of this episode.
So, and then we know that... Is it canon? That, well, yeah, it makes sense that Dooku's the one who recruited Jango Fett. As the clone template, like he does at the end of Bounty Hunter 2, which is so cool. Basically, he sets up this whole thing with the Bando Gora, as far as I remember, to like test Jango and make sure Jango is like what they want. So you've got to go through the whole game and like take down the Bando Gora and kill Kamari Vosa. I don't know. I feel like we talk about Bounty Hunter a lot, actually, on this show.
Probably more than we should.
I don't know if we should, or I don't know if it's more than we should. Bounty Hunter is a great game. But, okay, so that's canon, at least. Maybe not the whole Bounty Hunter plotline, but... So Dooku, I guess, is not as anemic as I thought. He is instrumental in Sidious's plans. However... Liam, they literally say it in the movie. Recruited by a man named Tyrannus on one of the moons of Bogdan. I'm a fool.
Am I just an idiot?
I think it's because...
I think what we've learned here today is that Ash doesn't know anything about Sifo-Dyas because she can't watch it correctly.
The issue... excuse me. The issue... Ow, I bit my tongue. Man, we are just having a go of it tonight, aren't we? But I think the issue is a lot of the details in Attack the Clones kind of just get... I don't want to say it's like a muddy movie, but I feel like it has a lot of little detailed things like that. Or just things that are not clear. Like, what does Zam Wessel say whenever she's dying? What are her dying words? I don't know. I have never known. In the 17 years of that movie's existence, I have never known what Zam Wessel is saying whenever she is transformed back into a Clawdite and is or like back to her natural form and is dying.
You're asking a hard of hearing person to decipher something said in the movie. I can't hear like normal conversation said. I'm kidding. It's not entirely untrue. I was watching a movie the other day and I didn't have a closed captioning device because it was the Dollar Theater, and I was sitting there going, I'm fine. I'm fine. And I sat and watched the movie. I'm like, not fine, not fine, not fine. Can't understand a word that's being said.
That is unfortunate. No, Liam, I'm talking about what she says after it was a bounty hunter called. Yeah, blarg, blarg, blarg. That's what I hear. And I'm sure somebody knows, and maybe there's a script of Attack of the Clones out there, which is...
Isn't it? But wait. In that scene, they're asking her who ordered the assassination on Padme, right?
Yeah.
So maybe it's supposed to be, it's an assassination. It's a bounty hunter named, she's supposed to die before she reveals that it's Django.
She does, but it sounds like she's saying words. That's exactly what happens. That's exactly what happens, but it sounds like she is saying words. I can't tell if they're English or if they're some kind of, like, her native language, maybe. I don't know. This is not super important.
You know what might help you? This magical thing called subtitles.
Well, I'm not going to look that up right now. As soon as we get off, though, as soon as we stop recording, I'm checking on that. But Dooku. I can't even say we've gotten off track because we haven't really gotten on track yet, I guess.
Yeah, we haven't even started talking about what we're supposed to be talking about today.
I guess, well, to kick off the discussion, I don't know if this is even something you've noticed. It's kind of a point of contention for me. What are your thoughts on the flip?
What do you mean? The physical flip?
Yeah.
What are we talking? Which one? What are we talking about here?
You know the flip.
Do I know the flip?
Oh, I bet people know the flip I'm talking about. I will.
Is it in the Yoda fight?
Nope. No, it's Dooku flip. In Revenge of the Sith, whenever he... for those who don't know, whenever Dooku enters the room with Palpatine and Anakin and Obi-Wan in Revenge of the Sith, rather than walking down the stairs, he, like, flips over the edge. And personally, I've always kind of hated it. It's just like...
It looks kind of stupid, to be honest.
It's so over the top, and it's like, he's Christopher Lee. Give him something to say while he's walking down the stairs. You know, it's just like, it's not like he doesn't know what he's doing. It's not like he's a bad actor and you don't want him to
He's Saruman. Come on, man.
Exactly. So it's just like, let him speak walking down the stairs. I don't know. It just seems so...
Well, here's the problem with it. He's such a commanding presence. Just talking. That I'm trying to figure out what filmmaker was like. Probably George Lucas. That was like, we did a back flip. Or front flip. I can't remember which one. It's a front flip. Does it? A flip. Doesn't matter.
Yes, I don't know. It's always bugged me a little bit. I mean,
somebody really interesting brought this up to me one time, and it's kind of how I've thought about the prequels ever since. They were talking about how, like, in the interim between the original trilogy and the prequels, the only interpretation of Jedi were in video games, and because it was video games, they could do crazy things like backflip and jump off things. And that might be where the prequel perception of Jedi came from.
Yeah. I mean, well, yeah, I believe that, like, entirely. Because there are lots of things that, like, although I don't know, like, where does force speed come from? Because, like, force speed is present in, like, Dark Forces 2, Jedi Knight, but as far as I know, it's never used in the original trilogy, and there's nothing that could even, like, approximate force speed used in the original trilogy.
I think it's just because it's a video game.
Yeah, so it's,
and you need more powers as the video game progresses.
We have talked about this at length, the issues of trying to apply the Force to video games, or, you know, vice versa, game mechanics, you know? So that's, I don't think we need to get any deeper into that right now. But, yeah, I mean, last thing I want to say about the flip, people give the Phantom Menace a hard time for CGI or whatever, but Revenge of the Sith? You want a movie that's got overdone CGI. It's that one. It's that one, baby. It's that one. That might be a hot take. I don't know.
I do think... I do think bringing it back to Dooku,
Yeah.
so we don't go into like a tangent about Revenge of the Sith. Because honestly, I think every second of Revenge of the Sith is perfect. I know that's not a super popular opinion, but every time I watch that movie, I'm like, I love every second of this. But
We'll agree to
sorry,
disagree.
whatever. I don't really like the Phantom Menace all that much. There you go. I like it.
Now you're just being hateful.
No, I like it, but it's like my least favorite. That's a lie. Solo's my least favorite Star Wars experience. Phantom Menace is my second least favorite Star Wars experience. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I think Dooku's just an interesting character. I wish almost that he would have been in the. I think we've talked about this before. I wish he would have been in Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
Even if he was just a member of the Council, like the Jedi Council.
Well, because his fall. No, because he doesn't. When does I don't know if we know when
he falls before Phantom Menace.
Yeah, he's outside. He's out of the Order.
Yeah.
And I wonder does he leave the Order specifically to fall to the dark side? You know, or you know what I mean? Like, specifically to join the Sith?
No, I think I think so.
Okay.
I think he became a Sith. Every impression that I've gotten is that it became a Sith.
Okay. That would make sense.
So it would have been cool if the time frame of that would have been slightly different. If he would have been a character in the Phantom Menace, and in the next movie he's a bad guy.
Well, that's what I mean, because there's so much time in between the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones that it's like totally feasible. Although,
exactly.
I guess the Phantom Menace has a lot of characters already.
Or you could have him feeding information to Palpatine. It'd be like a scene. Be like a scene where like they found the Chosen or something like that.
Mm-hmm. So,
and then the next movie is Count Dooku.
Well, see, that kind of gives a little bit more. At the beginning of the episode, when I said he was anemic, clearly we see that like he's powerful, right? He's a Sith Lord. Like, I don't mean that he is useless, but what I mean is I feel like throughout his entire tenure in the movies, and of course a lot of this is because we know what happens with Anakin and what happens in the end, but he feels like a placeholder, you know? It's like, to me, he's Darth Maul with more lines, because it's like, okay, and
it honestly would have been more powerful if it was Darth Maul, you know?
I don't feel like we should litigate the prequels here, but it's because we could do that all day. But it's just like, yeah, what? That's such a weird decision to have.
Well, that's the problem with the prequels, right? I mean, that's the thing that everybody was like main issue with the prequels. There's no overarching villain.
Yeah, and it's like
Maul
Sidious,
and it's Dooku,
I guess, but
Maul and Dooku, and then Dooku gets killed, and then it's Grievous for some reason, and then it's Sidious, but Sidious is never like the. Sidious is in the shadow. He's the Phantom Menace.
Well, yeah.
He's just in the shadows, you know.
So I don't know, and it's not like. I mean, just like, what if Dooku kills Qui-Gon? There's a lot of emotional impact there. At least, you know, that's developed on later.
Honestly, just swap Maul out for Dooku, and you have a more cohesive narrative.
Yeah, it's like Dooku
and have him escape.
Exactly, because look at all the times that he just escapes and leaves or runs away in the Clone Wars. So it's like, that was a narrative they established anyway. Why couldn't they just have that be the thing, his thing?
Yeah, and you just swap out Dooku for Maul, and then you have that thing where he leaves Obi-Wan hanging by the thing.
Exactly,
whatever.
And so he just thinks Obi-Wan is doomed.
So Obi-Wan loses that fight.
There is so much you could build off of there. Not to mention the fact, like I was kind of getting at, like, Qui-Gon was Dooku's apprentice, right? Is that how that worked?
Dooku was Yoda's. Maybe? I don't know.
Man, I feel like such an idiot tonight. I don't like this. I don't like this new Skyhoppers thing we're doing where we don't know anything.
Where we're just like, I knew this was going to be a problem because the second I suggested Dooku, I was like, I don't know anything about Dooku. Oh, no.
Well, it's not that I don't know. It's just like a lot of my knowledge comes from Clone Wars, which is sometimes hazy. Masters. Yeah, Dooku. Okay. Yes. Qui-Gon Jinn was the apprentice, at least in Legends. Canon.
Liam has quoted something at us.
Yes, it's Dooku. Is Dooku.
Yeah, okay. Wouldn't that be so much cool? Oh my god. Now
Well,
I'm
see,
just
and now,
like,
yeah, exactly. Now we've like got this whole narrative that I feel like this happens every time we talk about the prequels. Something that could have been better if executed
yeah.
correctly. Just like you've got the emotional impact of Dooku having to kill his apprentice, his former apprentice. Obi-Wan has, I mean, it's something. I mean, although I don't know, Obi-Wan has a lot on his plate in regards to being challenged as a Jedi with Anakin. So, but that's something that really you could add on as well. It's like Obi-Wan's
But
desire.
Anakin also knew Qui-Gon too.
Yeah, so
Like
they both
Qui-Gon.
have this desire for revenge with this villain, and eventually Anakin gets to
Kill him.
Gets to kill him, and then maybe you have this thing where it's just like, okay, well, he still doesn't feel sated. He still wants more. He still wants something, and then you have a little.
It was never just about revenge.
Yep, and it's this deeper urge, and suddenly you have a more convincing Anakin's fall to the dark side, and it's just why. You know, I'll say, in terms of Star Wars characters, I definitely like Maul more than Dooku. But this narrative we've created right here, if this happened, Darth Maul, get out. Like, Dooku is the new way to go, because suddenly we have a reason to be emotionally invested in this character as a villain. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
But
Dooku, all the good stuff with Dooku happens in the Clone Wars. Like him and Asajj.
yes. And that's really, I feel like that's really it, though. Dooku never really does it for me. You know, do you agree with me? As like, because I
agree.
Yeah,
that's why I'm so excited about the book, because I'm just like, maybe this will be a really interesting story, and I'll actually like Dooku.
Yeah.
It's not that I dislike Dooku, it's just kind of,
He's kind of whatever, you know? And it's just because, a part of that is because, okay, yeah, Maul dies. Sidious is like, okay, well, I need someone else, the public face of my evil doing. And so he gets Dooku. And then Dooku just, it's like the whole time we kind of just know he's there. He's the placeholder for Anakin, who becomes Vader. You know, it's just like, and Sidious knows that. Sidious knows that by the time that he's met, and by the time he's Dooku's apprentice, he's met Anakin, and he knows that this is a placeholder until Anakin is old enough to do bad. You know, so I can't really.
I will say, I do think I think he thinks he's kind of.
Oh, absolutely.
And then when he sees that Palpatine really never had, you know, never believed in him the way that he probably thought he did.
Well, yeah.
It's kind of, I don't know, Dooku's death is kind of satisfying. But not because of him, it's because of Anakin. I don't know.
No. I agree. But I almost feel bad for Dooku. Dooku does a lot of bad stuff. And I won't say I feel bad for him, but I guess I sympathize, because he's like, the look on his face whenever Palpatine said, you know, does that, do it. You know, like, and he's just like, what?
What? Yeah, exactly.
He's just another pawn. You know, that's it. And part of it as well, you know, for him not doing it for me, goes back to the whole constantly running away. Like,
yeah,
that's
what's that meme? It's like, I came here to save you, but you didn't do anything. Move the cape and then goes away. I think it's from Sailor Moon. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Also, like, didn't they capture him at one point, or am I hallucinating that? No, that was Grievous. It was Grievous. Right?
Yeah, no, they had Dooku. They had Dooku at one point, I thought.
Oh, yeah, Anakin and Obi-Wan were like, weren't they all like handcuffed together or something?
They're all captured by Hondo in one of the early seasons of the Clone Wars.
But I was thinking of the episode with Grievous where they had Grievous, but they swapped him for Anakin, like a bunch of idiots.
Oh, yeah. That one. That one's a thing, too. And he just is Grievous. Like, I really hate Grievous because Grievous is always running away. I hate that. So it's like,
Also, Grievous is gross.
yeah. So Grievous is
I
kind
can't-
of, he's got that going for him in terms of things to make him, to elicit a reaction out of me. But like Dooku, although I will say, all of the stuff with Dooku dealing with the Night Sisters and Mother Talzin in Clone Wars, I do like.
That's cool.
But is that because I think the Night Sisters are cool?
I feel like, for me anyway, it has a lot.
Yeah, and the Dooku and Ventress in like relationship, it's so strange because even then I feel like Ventress, I never feel like Ventress needs Dooku. You know, like Ventress, I just feel like it's doing her own.
Ventress comes into her own really when Dooku's like, bye.
Exactly. And maybe that just happens early enough that I'm just like, Ventress has all this time to develop as like on her own. But man, that's Dooku, come on, man. What's he doing? And I'm sure there are like legend. I will say I'm not super well versed in like Legends prequel novels overall. So that could have something to do with it. Maybe he does get some like cool development there that I just am not aware of. But like, what is he doing? And Liam says right here, I'm kind of disappointed Dooku never even tried to use Ventress against Sidious. You know, like, Dooku never even gets a chance to... We get the idea that maybe he was training someone to overthrow Sidious at some point.
Yeah.
But to me, Dooku seems like a yes man to Sidious. And he's just like...
Yeah, because Sidious is like, get rid of her, and he's like, okay.
Exactly. And it's like... I don't really feel like Dooku... We don't know anything about how Dooku was trained as a Sith. I'm starting to develop a theory here in my head.
What's your theory?
Is that Palpatine, like he does with everybody, manipulated Dooku. And in the way clearly he did. But I mean, specifically, through his training, was just like, it is the Sith's duty to be like, unerringly loyal to your master. Or something. And it's kind of dumb. So it's like...
Palpatine's like, first rule of Bad Guy Club, you can't disagree with anything that I say, ever. You have to listen to me 100% of the time.
Yeah, I mean, like, and it's obviously probably not, like...
We're not like those punks, like the Jedi, that have free will.
Yeah, so I don't...
I'm kidding.
Well, and I mean, what you're saying is obviously over the top, but it's like... I have to wonder, because Dooku is just so subservient. And I'm sure, and there are times, obviously, where you could tell that Dooku is maybe, like, trying to leverage Ventress against Palpatine. Or, you know, he's got those ambitions. So obviously my theory's got holes, like most of my theories. But, and yeah, Liam brings up the point of, like, Sidious is, like, knows the issue of... Or knows what Ventress probably means for Dooku.
Yeah.
So that's why Sidious is like, no. It's going to be me that takes over the galaxy. You'll screw up my plan. Like, no. But at the same time, like we said, Dooku just kind of up and does it. It's just like, okay then. Instead of... I almost feel like... I don't know, though. I don't know, because I want to believe that, like, the thing to do there would be, like, to move then. You know, rather than kill Ventress, be like, okay, our timetable's just moved up. We need to strike now.
Mm-hmm.
But Dooku just kind of loses all credibility when he doesn't do that. He's just like, yep, that's the end of it. And then suddenly he becomes the anemic villain that I kind of described him as. And in some ways, I guess I view him as like another victim of Sidious's manipulations. So he's just definitely not a poor soul. He's done a lot of bad things. He's a bad person.
He's just another cog in the machine at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
exactly. That's kind of what I was getting at. Was just like he obviously did do a lot of bad things. He's not a good person. He's a Sith Lord, but he was just a means to an end. And he obviously does not realize that until the very end. But Palpatine, it all comes back to Palpatine, dude. I almost
Yeah, I
just
mean, really.
want to do another episode on Palpatine.
Because really, when you think about it, he's the only villain.
Yeah.
Maul gets chopped in half. Dooku gets his head chopped off. Palpatine's the only one that's left. I mean, Jango also gets his head chopped off.
Jango, it's weird though. Like, I know that Jango is like. Do you view Jango as a villain?
Yeah.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He did a bunch of bad things.
He did. But it's weird because I don't. Now, this could be like Legends, anything, coming into my head. But I don't know. Jango just felt like, he kind of had that like Mandalorian honor. So I never really got the vibe. I never think of Jango as a villain, even though he is like diametrically opposed to the heroes of the story. He's just like getting paid to do something. So he does it. Exactly. He's just a simple man trying to make his way in the galaxy. Like this is just if the Jedi had come to him. Well, no. No, he's got to know what's up. I wonder how much he does know, because like if he is the clone template for the Army of the Republic, why is he siding with the Separatists unless he knows something? Or you know what I mean? He has to, I don't know. Anyway, he might have just been hired. He was hired by the Separatists. We know he was, to kill Padme. But this is not a Jango Fett episode. I don't know. Dooku. I'm just sad for Dooku. I really am just sad for Dooku.
He's just kind of a chump at the end of the day.
He is. And I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that Dooku is their favorite character. I don't hear people say that Dooku's a bad character or that he is.
And honestly, that's why I'm so excited for this book, because like every other character that may or may not have had their time in the spotlight that's gotten a book, I've been like, oh, Tarkin, I like this book. Queen Shadow, I really like this book. So giving it like the chance, or the chance for Dooku to kind of be in the spotlight and tell his own story, I'm kind of curious to see how that will go, and hopefully I'll like Dooku more after that.
Well, to be clear, this is not a book, right? It is specifically an audio publication.
I know it's an audio drama. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I said book. But...
Okay. That excites me on a level that I would say you can't possibly know, but the listeners probably know. If they've listened for more than a month, they probably know how much I love Star Wars audio anythings. But I think that this book is going to do. I call it a book now. Jedi Lost. For those who don't know, that's what it's called, right? Jedi Lost. Okay, yeah. It's like a completely original audio publication that's narrated by Mark Thompson, who does a lot of Star Wars audiobooks, but is also going to have like a full cast of characters. Which is just so freaking cool. I honestly cannot describe how excited I am for this, because I have spent a lot of time over the last few months, I guess, maybe the last year, because I talk about the NPR Star Wars radio dramas like all the time. And since I found out about those, I found out, there are other Star Wars audio things, like adaptations or original stories or whatever, that kind of, even though they're official, like kind of vary in quality. And then I found that, okay, well, there are official ones, and then fans do them as well. So I'm literally digging for anything at this point, like fan-made audio stuff. And there's a community of fans that do like pretty good work in terms of Star Wars audio adaptations and audio dramas. So if you want to look those up, what's the website? I can't remember. I'll put it in the show notes if I remember. And that's all free, of course. And I had a discussion on Twitter a while ago with somebody, I don't remember who, about the idea of Lucasfilm throwing some resources at doing something like a podcast adaptation of The Force Awakens, or
Yeah.
a podcast adaptation of Rogue One, something serialized. And this is not that necessarily, and I would expect you'd have to pay for that somehow. Like Liam just brings up Wolverine the Long Night, which is a podcast. It was behind, I think it was on Stitcher Premium is where you could get it.
Yeah.
I don't know that much more about it, but it was a podcast you paid for basically, and it was like a narrative thing. So I wouldn't expect that kind of thing for free, but this is a step in that. Well, I guess it's basically what I wanted. It's exactly what I wanted, and I'm super, super thrilled.
Yeah, it very much feels like a return to that period in time.
Yes, and I don't know, man. That's just it's such a, I don't want to say underexplored, because obviously human culture has been exploring audio as a medium since the 30s.
I was about to say underexplored. I was like, didn't they used to exclusively do radio dramas before TVs were a thing? I don't think it's that under.
Excuse me. But like, in terms of like, I don't even want to say like in terms of just Star Wars, but I feel like there's a lot of room for storytelling there. And obviously you can kind of get, it's not that different from a novel, I guess, in the grand scheme of things, but it's a different way to experience something. And it's like, I'm one of those people who likes to put something on before I go, like as I'm falling asleep. And it's like I frequently choose Star Wars audio productions. And adding a few more of those to my rotation is going to be great. Not having to wait for a package on the day this thing comes out is going to be great. I'll just be able to just go stream it from wherever, and it's going to be just freaking sick. And
I will say, even though I'm not nearly as passionate about them as you are. If honestly, like there's the NPR radio dramas, stuff like that, 9.9 times out of 10, I'll be like, I'll just watch the movie, because that's my favorite medium to consume things. Also, I'm not super. I mean, I do better when I have a visual representation of what's going on. But I think it's really exciting that they're venturing out into this kind of thing.
And I really hope that it goes super well, so that this is not just like the only one. I hope this is something that they do on a semi-regular basis. And yeah, Liam brings up the point that Cavan Scott, who wrote Jedi Lost, had a lot of conversations with Claudia Gray, who was writing Master and Apprentice, which makes me wonder if, like, what kind of crossover might be there. Because I'm, like, super, super thrilled for Master and Apprentice 2. That comes out so soon! There are Celebration exclusives. And I'm actually really bummed, because I'm not as far into Queen Shadow as I'd like to be because of Aurora Skywalkers, and I'd like to get that reading done first. But Queen Shadow, that book, you mentioned it last week, that book is so good.
It's really good.
Just the beginning, it's just like somehow, I don't want to say I didn't care about Padme, because that's obviously just not true. But this book has really made me care about Padme, and at the risk of having something bad done to me, it's made me care about the handmaidens, which I've never done before either.
Same. Honestly, okay, so I tweeted about this a long time ago where I was like, I don't get the handmaiden thing, but I'm glad that you guys get it.
Exactly.
And I can't remember who it was. It might have been Bria. Yeah, I think it was Bria who kind of explained it to me. I'm like, okay, I see it. I get it. Not for me, but I get it. But after reading Queen Shadow, I was like, I care about the handmaidens now? Yeah, what is this?
Like, we've got some kind of substance. But oh yeah, Greg, you really got to read Queen Shadow. It's really good so far. And I can't imagine it's gonna get worse, but I'm kind of bummed because I like the Celebration exclusive Queen Shadow cover better than not that the current one is bad, but I don't want to buy the book again. But I like the
But
celebration.
you can get yourself a master and apprentice.
Absolutely. Absolutely that is happening. Assuming that I can get one. But that's for the future. In the meantime, what, like, on the cover or the art for Dooku Jedi Lost, we have Ventress and Dooku. I mean, what would you want to see from this? What do you want to see about? It's a big question, but it's like, what about Dooku do you want to know? You
Can I
know,
be
like,
honest? Can I be honest and say I don't know? Like,
yes,
I don't know. If someone said write it to, I'd be like, I don't know. What do you? That's why I'm kind of excited about it, though, is because I have literally no idea where they're going to take this, other than I just want more Ventress in my life. And we're seemingly getting more Ventress.
yeah, well, that's never a bad thing. For those watching the stream, I did not just hit my cat. I shoved her off my guitar amp. It looked like I hit my cat, I think. I did not. But
It just kind of looked like you were wiping at something off screen.
well, I shouldn't have said anything then. But
Because now I think you definitely hit your cat.
I didn't. I would never. I would die first. But anyway, that's I really am just excited to see how he leaves the order, which I'm assuming is what we'll get.
Because, yeah, given that it's called Jedi Lost.
Yeah, and it's just like, because he clearly leaves the Jedi Order on decent enough terms, right? Because the Jedi don't look on him poorly. They seem to like respect. There's like a respectful disagreement there, obviously, but it's like they seem to still respect him, and it's just like, he is what he is, but he's not evil. You know, Ki-Adi-Mundi is like political ideal. It's not a murderer, and Count Dooku was once a Jedi. It's not in his character to assassinate somebody.
Honestly, I think it'd be interesting if he just had a fundamental political difference.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. It's like that's
what
I think they're getting at.
Where he's just like, I don't agree with what you're doing. Like, I politically, I don't agree with anything you're doing, and you're gonna fight to the death for what you believe in, and I'm gonna fight to the death for what I believe in. That'd actually be really interesting.
Mm-hmm. And Greg brings up the point, like, just the fact that it'll be from his point of view will be huge, because, like, Greg says he doesn't get Dooku the same way he didn't get Thrawn before he read, like, the more recent Thrawn books. You know, it's just like,
yeah.
And getting that from getting inside Dooku's head and figuring out why he left the Order and what all is going on there, I think is going to be huge. And then figuring out where Ventress comes into play, and I don't know. I wonder.
Maybe it'll show how him and Ventress meet.
Well, yeah, because the story of her master getting killed is canon, right? Like, that's
that's
okay.
Clone Wars.
Yeah, okay. That was brought over from Legends then. But I don't know. I'm kind of with you though. Like, aside from that, I don't know what else I want this story to depict. I'm kind of just excited to see where it goes, because I imagine, you know, by the title, like you said, there are things that we will get more or less for certain. And it's just, everything else is kind of just going to be gravy. And hopefully, by the end of it, I care a little bit more about Dooku. In any way, really. Like, as a villain, or as, like, a person who got wrapped up in something he shouldn't have gotten wrapped up in.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't know. I wonder if Palpatine... I can't remember, because in Plagueis, I think Palpatine is, like, getting in his head and, like, pulls him to the dark side, if I recall. It's been a while since I read Plagueis. And that's why he leaves the Order. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's kind of how they do it here, too. Is that Dooku is contacted by Sidious in some way. And because we already know that Dooku is, like, not a conventional Jedi. You know, it's like, he kind of is... That's where Qui-Gon gets it. And that's, you know, that kind of, like, questioning mentality. So if Sidious knows that and starts to prey on it, then he's got everything he needs to bring everything. I just wonder, what if this is just Plagueis? What if this is just Plagueis from Dooku's perspective?
Wouldn't that be a trip?
Yeah, I'm sure it's more than that. And I don't know. Plagueis was all right. Have you read it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine.
A lot of people.
We've talked about this before.
Yeah. People get really big boners over it, and it's like, it's fine. It's not the best book in Legends, though, like a lot of people say it is. But it's all opinion. Whatever. Oh, man. This sickness is killing me. I'm just like,
yeah,
my whole like upper face is just like in pain from talking talking this whole time. But like,
that might be a good sign to call it. I don't know if I have anything else really to say about Dooku.
This episode is very short.
I don't know.
Well, it's like, I don't know. It's like, I don't want to say I don't have anything else to say about Dooku. It's just a lot of it is kind of like speculation and like things that I would have liked to see that would have, I don't know. I really would like to see, obviously this is not, the time frame is not correct. But I would like to see what I'm assuming Master and Apprentice might be like, but for Dooku and Qui-Gon. You know, like,
yeah.
Also, somebody brought it on Twitter, I think, brought up the fact that we don't know Dooku's first name. Will this be the book that, or the production that does it? Will we get to know finally? And when we do,
what if his name is as lame as something
Sheev.
as Armitage was?
What if it's like Sheev, like
Sheev Dooku,
or
Armitage,
Armitage, or freaking Quarsh Panaka, like, jeez,
just make it. His name's Richard Dooku.
Richard Dooku. Liam says Clyde Dooku. I don't know, but Richard Clyde Dooku.
That's an episode title.
It is. I had it rule number 1 of the first rule of the Bad Guys Club, but Richard Clyde Dooku I think is fitting and is a little bit. We get the SEO. Search engine optimization. So it's like, okay, perfect. And everyone's going to be searching for Dooku because of Jedi Lost. This is great. Our podcast is about to go through the roof in popularity, everybody. Get into our Patreon now before we start actually making things tiered. Roy. Fat Manic, just Roy. That's the message. I love it.
Oh my god. Oh.
But yeah, I think Dooku is actually both in, I mean, canon, it's hard to say because there are so many characters who have not been explored in canon the way they were in Legends. But I think even in Legends, from what I know, Dooku just was not as, you know, like Dooku's motivation, we know so little about him. He's just like, he's just bad. Yeah. He's just bad. And it's like, that's not, as we've said before, it's not, can be cool, but it's not the most unique or interesting way to create a villain. You know? Like, I don't know. I guess he disagrees with the Republic, but that's not enough. Like, I want to know why he became a Sith Lord specifically. I could see him leaving the Jedi Order and leading the Separatists, but I don't necessarily get where the Sith Lord part comes in, and that's the puzzle piece that I want to see. Well,
and I think we're going to get it in Jedi Lost.
Yeah. Which is good. That's what we need. Well, see, actually, Liam says it's a bit of a reverse of Master and Apprentice, like Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan as Dooku and Ventress. And I'm wondering, since the two authors talked supposedly, you know, a bunch.
Oh, what if it's the same story from 2 different points of view?
Well, see, that's what I'm wondering. How long is Jedi Lost going to be? Like, because Master and Apprentice is like a full novel, and Claudia Gray knows how to write a decent chunk of novel, you know? Like,
yeah,
she can write something pretty long. And I just don't know. I'm curious as to how long this is going to be, because I can't imagine it being like... Historically, Star Wars audio productions have been between like an hour and a half and 3 hours. And I'm wondering if this falls into that, or if it's like like audiobook length for some of the younger adult books like Rebel Rising.
Yeah.
I guess it could just be straight up novel length. There's not really any reason. But I feel like if it was novel length, they would just call it an audiobook rather than... I don't remember exactly what the terminology they're using exactly is, but I don't know. That's not super important. That's just like pedantic whatever details that don't really matter. But I'm hoping that it's something that's long, but not like terribly long. You know? I wanted to occupy a good middle space. But
because like a 12-hour audiobook is different than a 12-hour audio drama, I think.
yeah.
Or like a 20-hour audiobook.
Yeah, so it's like it's definitely, I don't know, I listen to audiobooks on my iPod, and like every time I plug my iPod in, which I have to do kind of frequently because it's it's old. It resets my progress, which is annoying. So something shorter that I can maybe listen to like in one shift would be cool.
Yeah.
Or something that if I fall asleep while listening to is not going to play all night. That's nice too.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is there's so many questions, so many questions. But they'll be answered because this comes out in like a month.
Yeah, that's also crazy.
Super cool because I'm used to, hey, Greg says get a better audiobook device, and all I can say is, Greg, get a better everything.
He's still rocking an iPod from like 2000 what? 4? 5?
No, I got my iPod in 2010. Do not knock my iPod.
I'm not gonna knock your iPod.
No one can knock my iPod. 160 gigs, man. I need it. I might also be a digital hoarder, but that's better as far as I'm concerned, that's better than like actual hoarding. So,
I was about to say, do you need 100 gigs? That's the question.
I have a lot of music. I really do. And then audiobooks, audio dramas. I do have a lot. Yeah. I need it. Thank you, Greg. Greg says, dang, that iPod is indestructible. I take very good care of it. But what is this, an iPod podcast? Well, it could be. I guess. Someone might be listening to it on an iPod. Probably
if
not.
Anybody still has an iPod other than you. That was a little mean. That was a little bit more venomous than I meant to put it.
I don't take offense to it, but I mean, I don't see too many people with them anymore, for sure.
I'm in a mood today. I'm sorry.
Okay, my voice is starting to go, I think, and my nose is doing that thing where everything just kind of hurts. So
I got a headache, so it's probably a good.
Okay.
It's the universe telling us it's probably.
Now's the time.
All right, so if you want to get more of the Skyhoppers podcast, you can follow us on Twitter at SW Skyhoppers. You can also check us out at ButWhyThoughPodcast.com because we're proud members of the But Why Though podcast community. And if you want to support the show monetarily, you can go to patreon.com/the Skyhoppers podcast, where you get access to fun live streams like this every month. And you also get access to the show a day early, access to our Discord server where we talk about literally anything, and it's awesome. And also the Patreon exclusive show After Hours.
Yeah, which is recorded before the podcast, and apparently some people take issue with that, the name. But some people can get over it. Danny.
And that's it. Do you have anything else to add?
I'm very excited for the future of Star Wars audio productions, but that's it.
All right, so if Ben doesn't have anything else to add, this is the Skyhoppers podcast signing off.
Yeah, Greg, if you think I'm not calling this one before hours out of spite this week, oh yeah, I'm gonna be petty. I'm gonna be very petty.
Before hours, thanks, Danny.
I'll title that After Hours. I'll title this week's After Hours specifically, even though I don't normally do it. I'll just call like After Hours episode whatever, calling it before hours so Danny doesn't get mad. My whole just...
I got a headache halfway through that, and I was like, oh god.
Yeah. Um, yeah, my whole just like upper respiratory everything is like killing me. But as usual, thanks to you guys for hanging out. It's always a ton of fun.
Yes.
I feel
Yes.
like we did a little better on audience interaction than we usually do this time too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Greg, we definitely both need our rest. Greg, you be safe or wherever it is you're flying to. I don't know exactly what you're doing, but I'm not gonna pry. So just be safe. Although the scary thing is that's not like really in your control, you know, to be safe on a plane. So it's like,
What a great thing to say before somebody gets on.
Greg's probably flown before. He's day drinking anyway. He'll be fine. You will be fine. Okay. All right. Oh, 45-minute flight. Okay, you'll be fine, Greg. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. I'm taking the stream down. Bye.